Since we didn't have time in class yesterday to go over the last example in your notes, I want to go over it with you now in order to help you with your homework. So the example says, tell whether or not the function graphed below has a limit at the given x values and tell why or why not. If there is a limit, give its value. So before we start this problem, I want to look back with you on our chart that we created in class. So if you look at our chart, as we counted up to 5, we got closer and closer to 4, okay? And as we counted down to 5, we got closer and closer to 4. So this needs to happen in order for there to be a limit. If that does not occur, a limit does not exist. We say that it needs to, your limit on the left needs to equal your limit on the right. So please keep that in mind as we do these problems below. So if we look at our graph right away, we can notice that we have a gap right here, okay? That gap is known as a step discontinuity. A step, let's add that in. Where's my zoom? That is a step discontinuity, okay? Now, it's called a step discontinuity because there's a clear step in your graph, okay? So right away, you should notice that in your graph. You should also notice that you have a removable discontinuity right here at x equals 1, okay? Those are all very important things to notice. You have a step discontinuity at this point because there's a step in your graph, and a removable discontinuity at x equals 1 because there's a hole in your graph. Keep that in mind as we approach this problem. So let's start with part A. So part A says, as x equals 1, what's going to happen? Okay, so let's look at that together. So as x approaches 1, we are here on our graph, right here, going up towards 1. Okay, so as x approaches 1, we get to 2. Now, we need to check both sides of our graph. So as we go down to x equals 1, do we also get to y equals 2? And the answer is yes. So we can say, for example 1, that our limit as x approaches 1 of f of x is equal to 2. Okay, great. Remember, this is our limit notation. The limit as x approaches 1 of f of x. Okay, limit should always be written like that. Now, if we continue for number 2, we can say that we have to check our point at x equals 2. So as we go up to 2, we're approaching 5. Is that also true down to 2? The answer is yes, right? Both sides of my curve, on the left if I go to 2 and on the right if I come down to 2, I am approaching 5. Therefore, I also have a limit here. So again, if I use the limit notation, I would say the limit as x approaches 2 of f of x, whatever my function is equal to 5. Great. Now, I'm just going to erase this so we can see our thing a little bit better, our function better. Let's look at C. So as x approaches 3, from the left-hand side, I'm going to go to 10. Great. But if I approach it from the right-hand side, I'm going to go to 8. Does 8 equal 10? No. So therefore, this limit does not exist. Okay? And if you want to get really particular, which we will work on, focus more on this later this week, we would even say that the limit, why is it not writing? There we go. The limit as x approaches 3 from the left, so we put a little plus sign there, of f of x, does not equal the limit as x approaches 3 from the right of f of x. Sorry, I ran out of space. Make sure, guys, it's really important, you need to make sure that you include the f of x next to your limit. Otherwise, it's called a naked limit, okay? We don't like naked limits. You need to make sure that you write f of x here, okay? It's really, really, really important, okay? You need to include your f of x. You need to include your f of x. You need to include your f of x. You need to include your f of x, okay? Do not have a naked limit. It does not make sense, okay? Not that you would do this, but it's equivalent to just saying cosine equals 12, okay? Cosine of what? Cosine of 2 pi, cosine of x, okay? You need to include this f of x symbol. Your limit is naked without it. It is wrong. It is incorrect. Okay, so use these examples, A, B, and C, to help you with your homework. I will see you tomorrow in class. Let me know if you have any questions.